What's up, everyone? For this very unique video, I'm going to be producing an entire song completely from scratch. In addition, to make this more interesting and to make it a unique almost challenge, I'm only going to be using free VST plugins. Obviously, on this channel, I review, test out, and demonstrate various free VSTs, in addition, to doing music production tutorials. And I figured, for this video, because I get asked a lot, Mark, are free VST plugins really that good? I mean, it's free. How can it be? So there's a fun kind of a tutorial. Obviously, I'm going to be showing you exactly how I'm going to produce a song entirely from scratch, but also to show you the power of VST plugins. I'm not able to use any of my main plugins that I use, right, which I have right here, which are a blend of free plugins and purchase plugins. But in addition, obviously, I have all these stock plugins that comes with Ableton. So whether your DAW is GarageBand, Ableton, Logic, FL Studio, whatever it is, all these plugins I'm going to use are 100% free that I've downloaded. So they're all third-party plugins. So let's jump into it. So I'm going to try to do this, I don't say quick per se, obviously, but I want to kind of show you pretty fast, obviously how I use all the plugins, how I produce a song and everything. And I'm not going to lie, this is probably not going to be the most mind-blowing song. I mean, we'll see, but let's just see where this goes. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to map out the song. Now, a big pro tip I'm going to give right off the bat is the magic, and this is going to be an EDM/house song. So it's a cliche 128 BPM. So in case you don't know, when it comes to house music, it's usually between 128 and 130. So we're going to do it at 128. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to map it out. Now, on Ableton, I can add locator. So I'm going to do intro. And everything when it comes to music, for most music genres, actually, is all about the number 8. 8 is your friend. And if you notice, especially with the EDM, when people are mixing, they have things very almost square and very production set up. And obviously, it's very good for DJ mixing as well. All based around the number 8. So I'm actually going to do this. I'm already going to kind of plan out the track. So I'm going to intro 2. I'm going to have a build here. I'm going to have the drop, right, or the chorus. Let's do drop 2. Then I'm going to have, I'll just do another build here. So that way it kind of goes from, goes back up. And then let's do drop 1. Actually, I'll rename this to drop 1 as well. And then we're going to do drop 2 again, right? And then let's do outro. So what you notice is, and this happens for a lot of EDM songs, right off the bat. And obviously, this tutorial, even though it's going to be mostly focused on electronic music and EDM and house music, specifically as a subgenre, all the techniques I'm showing you are pretty universal. But one thing I will say when it comes to a lot of EDM songs, especially house records, you notice if you were to cut into half, it's almost mirror images, right? You have intro 2, good for mixing. Then you have the build, obviously the suspenseful part, the drop of the choruses. I'm going to have a build again. And then we have drop 1, drop 2, and then outro, and probably an outro 2. So it's almost like a normal bell curve in terms of the intensity of the track. So I'm going to do outro, and outro 2. So now I already know exactly how things are going to play out. So let's start this off. So I'm going to start with one MIDI track. So we're going to start with the kick. I think the kick is a good place to start. So I have all these plugs I'm going to use. The one I'm going to start with, actually, because honestly, I'm being honest, I have no idea how this track's going to sound. Like, I'm literally doing this from scratch. I did do some research on which one I think would be good, though, for a kick. Because kicks are very important. Where is it? The beat, DRMR. And then I remember there's a bunch of them here. It's the Neuro Pack, the Neurobionics. So one of these. Actually, maybe I won't do that one. So, as you can tell, for this track, I'm not going to use any samples either. I wonder if I want to use that one. I don't know if I... Nah, it's too... Like... Alright, that one's perfect. So this is what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to go to here. Now, as you can tell by this kind of red dot up there, I'm obviously recording this. That's how you can see it. So one big thing I have to kind of be aware of is CPU usage, because I'm obviously recording this video in addition to making a song. And as you can imagine, I'm using music production programs, and especially with all the plugins I'm going to be using, because a lot of them, actually, excuse me, all of them are going to be third party. They're not going to be stock. CPU is going to be intense. I'm going to do this. Just go down here. Right? So I'm going to do something that's called resampling. Essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to record this sample and then use it as an audio file as opposed to triggering the software itself. So I'm going to do, right? So I'm going to start with the kick. Now, granted, a lot of people sometimes ask me, Mark, when you make a song, do you start with the percussion? Do you start with the synthesizer? What do you start with? It really depends. It's a case-by-case basis, and this is probably true for a lot of producers. Sometimes it's one vocal sample that I hear, and I'm like, boom, an entire song pops in my head. In this case, for this specific video, because I kind of want to be a bit structured, I'm like, starting with the kick is a good place to start, especially for a house record. It's just a good spot, you know? So I have that. So now I'm gonna do something called freezing and flattening. When you freeze a track, you're saying to Ableton or any other DAW, this track's not going to change, right? If you notice, if I try to do anything in terms of moving this around, it's kind of tricky, right? I can move this here, and what that does is it lowers processing power. Now I'm going to flatten it. So now if you notice, I have this as an audio file. Sounds the exact same because obviously it's the audio file. So this is going to be a lot easier. So I'm just going to, you know, what you call this kick. Now I'm going to use routing. Now, again, not only am I going to make the song from scratch and using free VST plugins, but I'm also going to explain how I'm doing it. So this may not make sense in the beginning, but it'll make more sense near the end of this video. I'm going to do something called routing. Now, what this does is I'm sending it, and it's called busing. I'm going to send all my drums to one channel. As you notice, I have drums. I'm going to then have percussion and effects, which are more in the high-end, mid-high-end register of the EQ spectrum. And then I'm going to have like synthesizers and other stuff. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm saying, okay, I want to send all my drums, the heavy low-end aspects, the hard like part of the track, to one channel. That way, if I want to turn them down, I can turn all of them down at once, not just one or two, right? So I'm going to do sends only and here. Now, if you notice, it's going to sound the exact same. You notice now this is purple and that's green. So now I'm going to do this. So we're going to do, so obviously this is going to be 4 on the floor, right? So we're going to do it like this, right? So as you can see, it's already kind of making waves. So now what I'm going to do, I can already tell I'm going to do this. So now that's going to be the beginning, right? And obviously, if you just have that, that's going to be a little boring. So now it's time to add in some more percussion. So I'm going to do this. Let's add in, we're going to beat DRMR. I'm going to maybe add in like a, oh shoot, I can't remember what pack that one was from. Oh, it's Quizzle. It's a weird name. So as you'll notice, probably in the beginning, I usually use samples when it comes to percussion, but digging can sometimes take a while. You know, some of these I actually am not the biggest fan of. I'm actually bringing Tunefish 4. There's actually a synthesizer, but surprisingly, a lot of synthesizers can sometimes have, because I just want like a snare would be important too. Let's see. Where is it? Let me see. Perfect. Okay. So I'm just going to do this now. Okay, where am I? I'm there. So I just want to do this. So I'm going to do the same thing. Now, again, you don't have to do this for all your tracks. The main reason why I'm doing this is because I know how my processing power is going to be. So next thing is, for me, what I like to do is separate my drums from percussion. I mean, it could be semantics, but I do perc/effects. This is basically all the mid to high range stuff. This is basically the stuff that I know is more of like the kick and the drums and the sub, especially, depending on the song itself, right? In this case, I'm not going to have a sub, because the kick itself kind of has that sub with it. But on, like, say, a trap record where I have a kick and then a huge, fat 808 sub, I'll probably separate those up. But anyway, when it comes to perk and effects, these are all the things that are more like kind of the icing on the cake, so to speak, right? You have kind of the main meat of the foundation is going to be the kick. And then so we're going to do kind of this, like so, right? And then I'm going to do it like this. And then I'm going to just copy that, right? Right, sends only. So now I have these kind of separated. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to EQ this. Now this is very important. When it comes to producing a song, look at each element as a puzzle piece, right? And if you think of a puzzle piece having a bunch of different sides to it, if you're making a puzzle, sometimes if a puzzle piece has like odd sides to it, what would you do? You probably cut them off, right? You want to be an even square. That's a great thing of EQing. So in this case, I'm going to bring in, what was the name of I already downloaded like a bunch of plugins. It was a Q range. Was it Q range? Okay. So this is going to be an EQ plugin I'm going to use. And typically when you EQ things, not always, but a lot of the time it can be low cutting. What this means is I'm saying I don't want any of the low end, right? Because if you think about it, the low end's coming from the kick. Any low end from this hi-hat, one, isn't necessary, and two, is going to kind of cloud up my mix, especially in the long run. So if you notice, it's already right here. So I'm going to do this, right? Right? There we go. So So now, okay, so now we're getting somewhere. I'm gonna do this. I'm actually gonna save it. Or I have a bunch of random stuff I've been working on. Let's just call. I'll save it on my desktop. Let's call this. You know what? Let's call this free VST plugins. Let's do that. That way, it kind of makes it a little bit easier. All right. Next thing I'm gonna do, actually, and again, when I'm producing a song, sometimes I go all over the place. I'm gonna actually make the drop. Now, one big pro tip I have for a lot of producers is sometimes think of, and this is actually a tip I got from Deadmau5 and another producer named Manic Focus, two completely different producers in terms of their genres, but still equivalent to this, is make the most intense part of your song first, then kind of backwards you construct it from there. So I already kind of have the bass here. I have my kick already. So I'm going to do this, right? Because I know these are going to be on the drop itself. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the drop now. So that way, I know how it's going to sound at the most intense part of the track. Then what I'm going to do is kind of extrapolate it out. So I have this, right? So we got... Right? Now, if you notice, there might be a little bit of a lag. If you notice if I press enter. And the main reason why is obviously I'm recording this video. So, you know, I'm actually going to do this again. I'm going to... I might freeze just to... Actually, do this. Alright. The reason why I'm doing that, actually, consolidate though, is that way I don't have to be running the EQ on them. Yeah, it speeds up some of my processing power a little bit, right? Some free VST plugins, or actually any plugins, some of them are very CPU intensive, others are not. Sometimes you just don't know. And I think when it comes to Q range, there was a little bit of a lag. Now, there's no lag. So, you know, the good thing is now it's probably EQ. Okay, so now let's make the main synth. Like, let's make the main part of the track. So I already knew which one I was going to use right when I heard this one when it comes to this synth. I loved this sound. So that's going to be the sound. Now, before I even touch that, though, I want to figure out what key the kick is in. I'm also going to EQ this, too, actually. Actually, you know what? I don't think I need to EQ that. I'm not going to touch the... Man, so Q range is pretty CPU intensive, I can already tell. All right, so what we're going to do is... Now, some kicks sometimes don't have really a key. They're almost like atonal. Some kicks have, especially when it comes to the sub-range, a specific key or note. And that's what we do now. So I'm going to use the Melda Productions tuner. And let's see what... So it looks like pretty much an F, minus a few semitones. That's what I kind of figured too. A lot of kicks, the best range for, especially want that sub to hit, whether it's a house record or a trap or dubstep, is to be anywhere between, like, I'd say F and maybe G sharp. Maybe, but F sharp or G is typically what you see. Maybe E as well, as you can see a lot of like dubstep or heavy bass tunes in. So now what we're going to do is going to make the melody. So let's do this, and we're going to have it in F, obviously. So let's maybe like, let's see. Okay, so I don't like that delay. Slow this. I'm gonna try a different one. Let's see. Decay's really intense. Okay, so let's see. So now it comes to making like a catchy melody, right? Oh, there's a phaser on it. That's why it's kind of... I don't like that, what is on it? Something's on it that's, like, making it kind of... Oh, you know, let's switch back to 1. I want to see how it sounds with the morph of 1. So I like that melody. Alright, so now we're gonna do this. You know what, we can keep that for now. So we're gonna add synths, same thing, right? And then alright, kind of like that now. See how I turn. So how do I turn? There's a way to turn on the reverb. You know what? I don't know this plugin as well. I wish I should make that a little bit easier to figure out. There we go. So reverb. There we go. Alright, now it's time to turn this down because it's clipping. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to throw out a limiter on this. Let's do... Where is it? I'm going to use a compressor. So technically... So what I'm going to do now, if you notice, this is very important. Here, it goes into the red. Now, as you can imagine, going to the red, sometimes other stuff happens. There's a better way I could word that. But essentially what I want to do is I almost want to use a compressor slash filter or slash limiter. So what a compressor does is it basically pushes it down. Think of it like a hand that says, it's like settle, settle, settle. So that's essentially what I'm doing to the sound. Now, a limiter is essentially an extreme compressor. So if think of a compressor would be like this. And depending on the intensity of the way it pushes down, how much it lets it go up, those are all different factors of compression. But a limiter, or sometimes even called like a brick wall, is like this. So it's not getting past it. That way, so I'm going to do this, and I'm going to put on... I know there's something here where I can put it as a limiter. Nope. 2-bar limiter, okay. Right. So you can notice now it's not clipped, right? Now, I'm trying to see what sound... Actually, you know what? I mean... I'm still not the biggest fan of this synth. It's getting there, though. I think that's our synth, actually. So we're going to do this. So now what we're going to do, I'm actually going to take these two, put it here. I know I'm going to copy and paste this because I know the drops are going to be similar. But remember now, when it comes to house music, you can either have the drops be the same or different. Typically, what I like to do when I'm producing music, in terms of the arrangement style, is if I have something like this, if you notice, where intro, build, drop, immediately another build into a different section, I like the drops to be different. However, if, like, say I have, like, a second verse that has something melodic going on, I have some, just whatever, vocals and whatnot, for me, sometimes it's okay to make the drops the exact same, right? Similar, like, think of any song that you love, most choruses are identical. However, when it comes to EDM, especially in this case where I'm going immediately into a build and building up to another drop, I want to make these two drops a little bit different. So I'm not going to do, like, this, and then maybe, so something like this can kind of work. So let's try, so we have this right now. Alright, so we're going to then delete this. I kind of like that. So we kind of have our melody. going to be in F. All right, there we go. And then let's do this one to... Add some variation just to mix it up, you know? Let's do this. Alright. Now, another big thing I'm going to say, obviously, because if you notice, I'm adjusting the notes here. Now, actually, this, if I'm doing an F minor, it's equal to A flat major. So I actually want to do maybe this, actually. Although that one I kind of like. Alright, so... no. Alright. So that looks good right there. I kind of like that. So we do this. So now, if you think about it, we kind of have actually our main drop synth made. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more stuff embellishing. The big thing when it comes to key signatures, and I highly suggest this, is, like I said, your root note for key, and things like music theory, I think, are way beyond the scope of this video, but I'll give you kind of a main brief overview. There's major and minor keys. That's the first thing to start. So when someone says, oh, this is a key of F, it's like, well, is it F major or F minor? That's the first thing I have to start. For me, I pretty much always do my songs in minor keys. I think minor keys are way more flexible. You can do a lot more unique stuff as opposed to major. Not always, but typically minor keys tend to be a bit sadder or a bit more just not as happy, I guess. If that's the right word. Major keys tend to be happier. So in this case, I'm in F. Now, if you notice, if my root note's only F, I kind of don't have to worry about the key as much as major or minor, right? So because it's an F, I'm not doing any other notes. In this case, though, if I go to F and I go to F sharp right there, I'm going to be, I believe, in F major, as opposed to F minor, which was that E flat. So I have to go like A flat, E flat, or B flat. I think if I'm doing that right. So that's why if you notice, I don't want to do the F sharp. I kind of want to keep on the G, right? So now I have these here, right? So if you notice now, I have the main idea of the melody. So what I'm going to do, just like I did before, I am already limiting in it, which is very important. I'm going to bring in, actually, does melody production, they have their own EQ? They do. Let's try this one out, actually. I haven't used this one yet. So, how do I, okay. How do I turn that one on? Is this, okay. Okay, there we go. So, let's kind of do this now, solo this, though. I don't really like that graph at all. So I kind of want to remove the low end. So the kick is the main important. That works. So now I'm the same thing. I'm going to freeze this. And we're going to flatten it. Alright, there we go. So now, we basically have our main thing. Now, actually, you know what? Should I do that? I'm going to do this. I'm going to go back. And I'm going to duplicate this. Because I'm going to delete this. So this is what I'm going to do now. Alright, and this will make sense a little bit later. So now I'm going to do the same thing. So remember, once you freeze and flatten a track, if I save it, that's pretty much it. It's pretty much flattened. So the reason why is I want to save the MIDI notes. So the MIDI are basically, as it sounds, the notes that I'm using to play the song itself. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to save it. Now, one big suggestion when it comes to Ableton, specifically this to another DAWs, make sure you collect all and save. What that essentially means is not only am I saving what's going on, but all the samples get collected in the same folder packs. Now when I go here, all the samples are all there, right? So now if you notice, I have this. Why does it sound almost different now? Oh, shoot. Because when I freeze it and flattened it, oh, man. Let me see if I can go back and find that one. There we go. So sometimes with some plugins, Ableton doesn't save this kind of information. And I remember I adjusted the attack on something because I was like, it doesn't sound the same as it did. There we go. I was like, I'm sure it didn't sound that muddy. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this again because I want this MIDI information here, which will make sense later on. And now I'm going to freeze this. I think it's going to... Oh, it's good. I'm going to do this. So we're going to do... Okay, so we're going to call this the main synth, right? We're going to call this copy. Now, this is a big pro tip. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go here, and I'm going to deactivate. So essentially what I'm saying is, this is not being used for anything. I'm going to mute this, even though it's not going to play anyway. That way, if I want to go back after freezing and flattening, I can do so, and I just have to refreeze and reflatten. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to flatten. Right, and then there we go. Alright, so now we have Tunefish here. So now what I want to do is kind of create some beginning suspense. Right, so we have this. So now what I want to do is I'm going to remove this. And I wonder if there's a way I can, like make the release really... Alright, then I'm going to bring back in... I wasn't a big fan of that EQ, so I'm going to do this. And I'm going to high cut it now. Right, so now essentially what I want to do, I'm going to flatten this now, is now what I'm essentially doing is I'm kind of giving you a preview. Now, this is a big technique a lot of producers use, is to basically give you a preview of what it's going to sound like. So I'm going to do this again, so it's like... Right, so now you're kind of used to that melody in your head. So I'm going to do this. I don't really need that for now. Put this here. Right. Now let's add some more unique stuff. Because obviously I want to make this, again, a kind of fun song. So let's do... what would be a fun one? Let's see what Serpo has. Serpo might have some cool stuff. So we're in F, remember. So let's bring in Serpo. Alright, so let's do something like... just again. Let's see. Let's try to see all that. So we're going to copy that. So now essentially what I want to do is I want to add in like little nuggets, what I like to call. So they're little small things that kind of just make the track more interesting. You know what I mean? As opposed to you just having like a typical, so like have like this. Right, like that. And I wonder if I can like add an effect onto that. The way the Valhalla, yeah, this would be a good one for this. Let's turn it up a lot. Let's do that maybe. Yeah. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to parallel process this. So what parallel processing does, this is another big pro tip, is I know I'm kind of like jumping around a lot, but also I'm kind of showing like I'm actually showing my entire production process. I have no idea how the song was going to sound. So parallel processing means you send one completely wet chain, meaning you send one signal or sound signal that has a full effect on it. Then you send an entire dry chain. If you notice, I have the wet chain, which is the frequency effect, and then I have a dry one. A good analogy, it's kind of a weird one, but it works really well, is pretend like I'm making a mixed drink, right? And you've probably seen these at the store, where let's say you take like rum and Coke, where you could buy a pre-mixed drink. You can buy a pre-mixed rum and Coke. That's similar to doing this, right? Now, granted, there's some pros and cons to that. Like, obviously, like, I don't have to do any parallel processing, whatever. But if I actually want to make that mix strength stronger or weaker, yeah, I guess I can add in, like, say, more Captain or less Captain, or more Coke or less Coke. But I'm still at the mercy to that already made pre-mixed drink. Parallel processing is like, I have one bottle of Captain, or whatever your problem is, one bottle of Coke, and I can pour as much as I want and completely make it from scratch. That's what you're kind of doing with parallel processing, and then that's a good way to think of it, as weird as that sounds. So now I'm using this. Right. So now what I'm going to do, so I'm going to do this for now. Okay, so we're going to get to that in a little bit. I'm just kind of, so let's do this. All right, so now let's add in a snare here. I think that'd be a great addition. You know, I'm going to bring in, well, I might limit this. Is that clipping though? No. I'm also going to, you know, I'm just going to do this. Obviously, again, you kind of want to, I mean, you don't have to low cut every little item, but it does make your mix a lot better in the long run. I don't have that much going on here though. At least not yet. So let's see how this is. Okay, we'll just do that. Man, this has a really bad lag on it. That should be fine. So, alright, I'm going to freeze and flatten that. And we're all set with that. Oh, that's a crazy long freeze tail. Okay. And then, alright. So now we're getting somewhere, right? You can only hear it kind of coming together. So now what we want to do is add in, I don't like that lo-fi sound. Actually, I'm thinking I'm gonna use that. Was that F sharp? Okay. I want to do it here, actually. Alright. Now, typically, when you add in kicks, it typically goes on here. So I'm gonna, oh, nope. Something like this. Alright. Yeah. And this I'm gonna consider drums. And I kind of want to saturate this. Do I have a saturator somewhere? Probably do have one somewhere. Alright, we got the M saturator. Alright, so now, let's saturate this. And let's make it like... So what I want to do now... Let's add some reverb on that. I haven't used actually some of these, so let's see. Huh. I don't really like this. You know, I'm gonna use the easy verb. Where is that? I like download like a bunch of these plugins just for this whole challenge. Okay, where is? Oh, that thing should be good, right? So we could probably keep this here. Let's see. All right, so this would be good for mixing, right? So like, now I'm gonna do the same thing, obviously. Parallel process this, but we're gonna make this 100% wet. Alright, I like that right there. Looks at. Alright. Very, very picky, as you can see by certain things. So now we're kind of getting there. So this is going to be going here. Right, you can kind of already get the idea of where this is going. Let's collect all and save. So doing pretty good. I'm going to do this as well. Let's throw on the, what should we call it? Let's do that, I guess. And then I'm going to put this, actually. I'm just going to go end. Right. Maybe no. You know, I don't think that's probably going to go on the end. Now, big pro tip 2 when it comes to this kind of EQing, you may be like, well, Mark, like, it's not even appearing on the low end. Even if you don't see it on the EQ spectrum, it still could muddy up your mix. Okay, man, for some reason that Q range really does take a huge hit on the CPU. The good thing is, as you can see up here, this is basically where your CPU usage is. It's like a tongue twister, CPU usage. So that's why a good way to kind of keep track of this, okay. Alright, so now I might want to add in a couple more things. Let's see. Because I already have this kind of here. I might want to add in one more kind of unique synth. Would be a good one. I'm trying to think of a piano. I don't think. I think so. I could always add in a like piano potentially. I don't know. I kind of like the minimal like. I actually think this right here could actually work on like a crowd. Like even though this is not even the drop. I'm gonna do this for now. So now, time for the build. One of the biggest parts of EDM. So first thing I'm gonna do, I already have this here. I'm gonna adjust the pitch. So I'm gonna go to. Oh, my mouse being weird. Okay, so let's go to Melda. I'm gonna do pitch shift. I don't know if I want to use that actually. You know, I said I want to use Ableton stuff. So. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is... Nope. So I'm going to click this right there, and I'm going to find... Where is detuned? Okay. So I'm going to show animation, so I'm going to go... that's going to be so tough, actually, going off that. Boy. It's not going to be easy, actually, to do this. So I'm going to go... why is this being weird? Okay. Start this... And then next go to here. So typically the bar right before the drops when you have like a vocal sample or whatever. So I'm gonna do like that's weird. It didn't go up that much. Huh. Let's see. Maybe it's not the best plugin for that. That's kind of weird. Okay, so maybe this is not the best pitch like modulation plugin. Let's see, do I have anything under Blue Cat? I may just have to use the thing under Ableton. This is pretty easy to do though. I'm just gonna go here. It's a lot easier to do this here and just go transposition. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go up 12 semitones. So basically 12 semitones is an octave. So it's like, right? Right. So now we have the kind of the pitch bend starting. A big thing when it comes to drops is big, you know, kind of pitch bend. So now we're gonna do this. So we're gonna. Actually, no, we're going to do this. So we're going to shorten it. So this is a big pro tip too. Now we're going to basically have it go faster, right? So not only are we having pitch bending where we have the kind of speed. messed that timing up. What do we want there? There we go. Remember, everything's super, like, mathematical. No, actually not yet. Let me undo all that. And then we're going to do this here, though. So it kind of it goes halves and halves. So go 4. Then when we get to this part, we're going to go halves again. And, yeah. I'm just going to turn this down here a little bit. Alright, so now let's do I wanna obviously I gotta make this a little more intense. So now what would be good is kind of have some type of riser or something. I wonder if maybe Tunefish 4 has any type of risers. Some synthesizers do actually. Okay, let's see. Horses? Well, I don't want horses. Blob. What is blob? I don't really see too much. I wonder if maybe in the Melda Productions they have some type of riser or something like that. Let's see. Stereo. Nope, I'm not really doing the stereo. You know what we're going to use? Actually, I have an idea. We're going to use, actually, Serpo. I think you probably make an entire song just using this one plugin. Actually, it'd be kind of cool. And we're going to use, where's the sub? Here we go. Right. So we got this now. So we're going to do, add in the sub, and then we're going to pitch bend it. Actually, we're going to freeze and flatten it first so we can pitch bend it in Ableton. Because sometimes some synthesizers actually have a limitation of how... What are you doing? Oh, can I only do that? That's weird. Okay. Well, you know what? I'm going to do this anyway. Let's do this. Okay. Alright, now I'm going to pick off the formant so I get that... I want that nice, like... Yeah, you can all hear it. Put this in drums too. So there we go. Alright, so now let's create the thing before the drop. So, because this is the free VST plugins detective, I might just say free VST. I know, maybe not most of the time. So I'm going to use Alter Ego, being honest. Probably my favorite free VST plugin ever. Alter Ego is crazy. So we're going to do, let's do bonus basic or whatever. I'm going to do, let me see. So it's going to be 4 things. So free VST, yeah, free VST. Something like that. Okay, let's see how that sounds.
Select.
Oh, come on.
Your alter. Free VST. Free VST. Free VST. Free VST. Free VST. Free VST. Free VST.
Okay, so we're gonna do. So that has to be on the time.
Free VST. Free VST.
Alright, and they have to kind of do something like that. You know what, I'm gonna do this. So.
Free VST.
Alright, so we're gonna freeze and flatten that. The reason why is this allows me to adjust a little bit further too. Because you can tell it's not perfectly in line.
Free VST.
Like, okay. So I'm gonna go. Okay, it's definitely not beats. I'm gonna. Okay, just delete that. Does it not let me delete it? Sometimes it gets weird. Come on, there we go. Okay. So we're gonna do like that. Not the most like. That's let's do this. Free VS. Yeah, you know what? I think actually it's gonna be sounding better if I start this here. Actually. You know, I'm gonna redo this actually. I think it would be better if it's like on the bill that's free and then VST. So there's almost like a space or a gap. I think it actually sound a little bit better. So we're gonna go back to boards again. Okay, we're gonna do free VST. Okay, so we're gonna start it here. I'm gonna do no, we're gonna do yeah. No, we're gonna do this then. Close, but I think free VST. I wonder if I could just like a go or something like that. We gotta. Unless we do like something like that. Maybe something like that, like gibberish. Just keep saying it really, really fast. Alright, so I'm gonna do that, and I can just like probably juggle the last T. Obviously, what you say before the job obviously is always super important. That's one of the. Okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm also gonna do that. So I can actually. Okay, so it's more now in sync because you want to be like free VS. Let's do this. T. Okay, there we go. So now what we're gonna do. So now we kind of have the idea. So now let's do this though. To make it more interesting. Wait. It should be starting like here. Okay. Now we're gonna do this. This is gonna be kind of cool. We're gonna do. So now we're gonna do kind of the same thing with the vocals. So it's gonna be juggling and building up like that. So we're gonna consolidate. So essentially what I'm doing now is I'm basically creating a nice little build within this kind of section, right? So I'm gonna do this. Same thing, 12. So it's gonna go. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna duplicate. One's gonna be the build, one's gonna be the actual vocal, so it's gonna go. Alright, getting there now. Let's make this saturate a little bit. Okay, so first off, I'm gonna bring this here. I haven't really been doing that. Okay, now on this one, I want to saturate that a lot, actually. Where's the saturate? I know I had it. Yeah. Let's make it look more cool. Alright, so we're kind of getting some, like, Now I'm gonna do this. Now, it's kind of interesting producing this right now because there's so many things I want to add in, but I can't because I need all the plugins to do it. So I'm like very limited of how I can. You know, I'm actually gonna go back to this Serpa one. Because I like that kind of. There's something about that human element. Like, I honestly have a theory that I think the reason why vocals do so well, or like future bass, I know, like the marshmallow style, is because there's something about that evolutionary fact of having. Like, the evolutionary fact of having, like, vocals there, you know, I don't know, like, I think it triggers that, like, evolutionary wiring that we're like, oh, shoot, we need to know when there's a human talking, you know, alright, so let's do this. Enough of my random little theories. Okay, so, gonna be doing this more. Alright, so let's go here now. As you can see, I want to loop this more. Okay. And we're gonna freeze that. Okay, and we're gonna flatten it, okay. Because I'm gonna do. Now, what I might want to do, actually, is find, like, some type of, crash. So I know Serpa has a crash, and this will make more sense. I'm going to do a little cool technique here. So let's use a drum kit. Nope. Nope. Actually, that's perfect. Man, that's a long thing, though. Long tail. Was that D over here, I think? Nope. Okay. I'm going to freeze that again. Again, you don't have to do this much freezing and flattening. I'm just doing this to save my CPU. Luckily, it's not going too bad, though. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, and I'm going to reverse it. So it kind of allows me to transition between different parts. Right into something. Okay. So I'm gonna maybe add that in here too. It's a good way to transition. But now I'm gonna go as well. I don't know if this one would be a good, like a, this is a word for like a good crash hit itself. I just gotta make sure, like, if I can go like. Let's do this though. Let's extend that out. Okay, that kind of works. Man, this is so hard not using. It's funny how this is, like, obviously not only, you know, educational because I'm showing how I do everything, but obviously, like, man, this is challenging to, like, not use all the stuff I normally use. Okay, so actually, I wonder if the empty power drum kit would be a better, like there's a crash out of my head. Let me see. Let's bring in the empty power drum kit. This is maybe my savior. Maybe that one. I don't know. I want to do like a like. I don't know if this one has it. You know, let me try though. Where's the? And like so here. So we're gonna try to. Alright, so we're gonna use that. What note is that? Okay. Right, so we're gonna go like here. We're gonna freeze and flatten this again. A lot of freezing and flattening. So we're gonna go like. Except we're gonna. like that actually as much, but let's try saturating it. See if I can like clip it a little bit and maybe having a nice clip on that. You know what? Because I like that one better, I'm just gonna try doing the same technique. Seeing if it, although I do like that reverse than that one. Let's see how this goes. Let's mute this. Oh yeah, it's so much better actually. Taking stripper out. That's exactly what I wanted to do. So we got that now. Actually, let's do this. Let's copy this. Alright, just kind of setting some stuff up. Still a little bit cheesy. I should have like a lot more, like I want like a riser, but so let's bring in a random synth. Let's try one that we haven't used yet. There's a bunch of them. Let's bring current, I guess. Have something analog. Why not? Actually, do I have actually any? I don't know if they have risers on this. Nope. I should just have something. That would actually, that's gonna work. Let's see. Yep, because I don't want that kind of wobbliness. I kind of want it to be steady, and that way I can modulate it. Enabled him, freeze and flatten this again. And this is what I'm going to add EQ on. If you notice, some of these have not been EQing, but... Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to do the same thing again. Man, I still can't believe how much Q range, like, eats at your CPU. Like, it's weird. Well, actually, maybe not CPU, but there's some plugs that when you use them, they just naturally, like, lag out. I don't know why. Alright, so now we have this. So now, I can finally go here. Now, the more tension you can make in your build actually helps out a lot. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to build this up. Alright, so actually we're kind of getting somewhere. Alright, so I'm going to do this actually. So we're going to duplicate time. What I like to do sometimes is I might actually do that. Make 3 drops instead of 2 because I'm feeling something cool for this one. This is a good way for mixing too. So I'm going to go clip, transposition. I'm going to boost this again to 12. Kind of similar. I'm almost doing a mini build here. So now, because we dropped that out, I wonder if I should have maybe 2 builds on this one. Let's try how this out. So we have like this gun. right? Then we have I was gonna do the same thing we did before. Nope. Okay, so I'm gonna add locator 3, and we're gonna do the same kind of pitch bend thing. Let's add this in here. Another thing we're gonna add in now is some white noise. Now, a big thing when it comes to producing is you want the kind of EQ spectrum of the overall track. And again, I'm gonna get to mixing and mastering at the end of this to kind of be as even as possible. So I want to add some white noise. It's one of those things that when you start using it, you're like, why would I ever need to use this? But it's very important. So like, oh my god, I don't like why this. I don't know why this plugin does it. This is kind of ridiculous. So I'm gonna do something cool here. So give me a second. I'm gonna do this. So annoying. I hate plugins that just run on their own. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to get that noise. Freezing, flattening like I've done a bunch of times. Because I just hate that this plugin just runs on its own. And there we go. So, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do something called sidechaining. So sidechaining, I haven't sidechained anything yet. Sidechaining is when you duck one sound or lower the volume of a sound in relation to another sound. This can be used for creative purposes or mixing and mastering purposes. Usually a blend of both. So like this, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab... I actually need a sample to make this work. Let's use the kick, actually. So we're going to do this. You know, I'm going to bring this to the top, actually. Sidechaining, I usually put my sidechain thing on the top. So I'm going to put this above kick. And we're just going to call this SC. Actually, wait, no. It's got to be... Well, yeah, okay, that'll be fine. So I'm going to do this. Right, so I'm going to go here. Alright. And now I want to go here. I want to make sure that, okay. So now I have this. Right. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to do this actually. Right. Sweet. It's going to sound weird now, but it makes sense in a little bit. And then we're going to go to this. We're going to add in, where is it? Compressor. Sidechain, enable that. All right, and then we're gonna make this send to the sidechain, right? So, essentially what I'm doing now is I'm saying, hey, instead of this outputting out the loudspeaker, I want you to send it to a different plugin that's gonna use that channel and use that sound in relation to ducking another sound. So you notice now, you're not hearing this, right? So, nothing yet, right? But you notice that? That's because it's triggering. So when I'm going to go here, where's that? Oh. So I'm just going to actually freeze this again. Sometimes, I know it sounds weird, but sometimes freezing and stuff like that, it just makes it easier to deal with, so I can kind of manipulate a little bit more. So if you notice now, they're more ducked, as you can see. So this makes it easier. And this is a big thing a lot of house musicians do, where you like, right? It's not the best sidechain. I'm not the biggest fan of that sidechain plugin, if you want to be honest, but what are you going to do? So I'm going to do dual, I think. So I'm going to use the gain, you know, what's it? It's going to do stereo. And let's do this. Nah, you know what? The way it's sidechain, I wasn't the biggest fan of. I'm gonna remove that. So I'm gonna use this. Okay. And it's not having that effect that I want. There we go. That's what I want. Okay, there we go. Finally. Takes a little bit sometimes. All right, so now I'm going to freeze that and flatten it again. Has that kind of like the psh, psh, psh that I want. Adds a lot of energy. There we go. So you can see that that's the sidechain that I want. There you go. That's the sidechain now. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did before. I'm going to bring the stairs. So what I want to do is turn down the sound of it so it goes psh, 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 right? Now, big pro tip. Any single time you modulate volume in your track, never go to here and do this and kind of do that or whatever. Because at the end of the process, when you're mixing, it's going to screw everything up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a gain plugin and do this, right? So it's going to sound like that. All right, and let's bring this up. I'm going to do this. That was pretty fast. I'm gonna do this a little bit. So just the curvature of it. That was pretty fast, surprisingly. I don't know why. Anymore, but I'll keep it. Alright, kind of getting there now. Now, the biggest thing is, I'm trying to think if I want to sidechain this. There's already a decent amount. I don't think I need that, actually. Let's see how it sounds. Might as well. We're on synth. see how it sounds. Actually just add some movement to it that I like, yeah. So we're getting almost to the end, actually. I'm gonna save it. We're getting to the end, actually, of this. Again, this is probably not the... It's far from the best song I've ever made, but it's fun to, you know... So I'm going to use another cool low technique right here. There we go. Better transition. Makes it smoother, right? And there's a couple more things we can use. Okay. Alright, so we have this, right, going. Now we have to kind of pitch bend it just like we did before. Take out the formant, so we have most of the, like, the concept of the synth itself. I'm almost there. Whew. And now it's time for, now I kind of was mixing a little bit while we were doing this, but now we have to get to mastering. Mastering's gonna be tough with the limited plugins we have. So we'll see. We'll see how we're doing about this video. Let's just loop that. That sounds kind of cool. I like that sound, actually. That's a cool sound. And I'm going to finish off with a little... This is a big thing I do in a lot of my projects, so kind of, if I want to transition to another record, then I'm going to stop here. So, big thing I like to do is I say Finn from Family Guy. Now it's time to do some light mixing and mastering. I'm going to keep it there again. My goal for this video wasn't to make the most mind-blowing song, but to make something, one, from scratch, so you could see how I do a lot of my techniques, but two, was to also show you kind of how you can do a lot with free VST plugins, because that's all I've really used. So, I already talked before about bussing. Now, as you can see, if I want to turn on all the synths, I can. If I want to turn on all the percussion, I can. Same with drums. Now what I'm going to do, so I took all of them, set them to only 3 categories. Now I'm going to take those 3 categories, set them into 1. This is really good for A/B testing. In this video, I'm not going to be doing any A/B testing, simply because I usually use another song, and also for copyright reasons, because of YouTube, I can't use another song. So this is what I'm doing, is I'm setting all of them to 3, then 3 to 1, then 1 to the master chain. So you notice I have pre-master, right? Now, if you notice, everything should sound the same. I just like to make sure I'm doing everything. They're all sounds only. Yep. So now it is time to master this. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the utility to just turn it down. If you notice, it was clipping a little bit, like about 1.43. So we're going to go here. We're going to go to stereo. And I'm going to maybe turn it -3. right? So now it's a little bit quiet. That should be fine. I mean, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add in an OTT. This is from Extra Records. Again, all free plugins. So this kind of... Alright, and then we'll do that. I guess we'll just EQ it now. Man, unfortunately, I'm going to have to use Q range, but it always lags. I don't know what lagged this so much before. So we're now going to do this. Big thing when it comes to mixing, mastering, I'm going to do this, but I'm going to throw it on routing. I'm going to do it side. So we're going to go side. So what I'm doing now is I'm basically low cutting or taking out the bass from the side. When you think of a speaker, you have the middle of it and then the side. And it sounds kind of weird. But I want to remove the side now of all the bass. I'm going to add the second one. I'm now going to boost the side here. And I'm going to duck out the mid. So, technique a lot of people like to use. And now we're going to finish this all off with Loud Max. This is basically one of the best loudness maximizers I've found. So let's just see how this comes out. I'm not going to try to push this too much, because a big thing when it comes to EDM is obviously a big thing is called the loudness war, meaning you have two songs with the same, this can get super technical, but same volume on your speakers, and you play them, sometimes you notice one song sounds or perceives to be louder than the other one, right? Now this can get unbelievably technical, so and I do want to keep this video kind of beginner/intermediate when it comes to production, and not get too technical. But honestly, that's probably going to be used, honestly, for... Now, one last thing I'm going to do, this is another cool pro tip, is when it comes to mixing, I'm now going to go on my master chain. The only thing I'm throwing on my master chain, because the song's already mastered, but one thing I want to do, which is kind of cool to do, is I'm going to throw on this. And as you can imagine, the drop should be the most climactic part of the track. So if you notice, if I go here... Actually, it already is, never mind. But what I could do is I could modulate it, so that way, in the verses... it's naturally 1 decibel quieter, and it goes up to 0 decibels on the drop. So it seems like that you're turning the song up. The song just got turned up, so it makes it more climactic. But in actuality, nothing's changing. It's just the other parts were turned down purposely in the beginning. But because of the way the song... I'm just going to turn up the synth actually a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to stop there. One thing I'm going to do now, though, which is a big thing, is I'm going to throw the stereo back on here, and I'm just going to go to gain. And what I like to do at the end is do this. So that way I know at the end that there's no other volume. Because you don't want, like, say someone to listen to a song, and they'd be like, shh, and then a hard cut. Always have, like, a nice little fade. So I have the end of my song. And then this is where I fade out every element in the track, making sure by the time the actual song is done, in terms of like the whole song itself as the file, there's no noise. Now I'm gonna bounce this out. I'm not listening to it. Honestly, I mean, again, not the craziest thing, far from the craziest thing I've ever made, but kind of cool to do this. So I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go export audio and video, and free VST plugins. I'll just call it that. Wow, this is the fastest time I've ever seen it rendering. And I'm recording this too. It's probably because I freeze and fly and like pretty much everything. Besides also what I did with my master and everything. So yeah, so this is pretty cool, So also, again, all with free VST plugins. You know, I didn't use any other plugins, whether it was a stock plugin in Ableton or a plugin that you purchase. You know, all right. So I'm gonna collect all and save. Might as well just save it. You know. So I'm gonna play this up. So make sure, am I outputting on the right channel? I am. All right. So let's listen to it. Those hi-hats actually I could have turned down a little bit in the mix now that I think about it. Again, the mix down was very rough that I just did. Have a little pan on that snap. So cheesy. Yes. Doesn't sound the best, but you know, whatever. I wasn't trying to make the most perfect song. I kind of like that sound almost better when I kind of almost cut the high end off. I actually think that sounds a little bit better, if you want to be honest. Those snaps really made it. Kind of like that one little stab right here. It's cool, like sound. I feel like I could use that for something else. I'm realizing how bad this mix sound kind of is. In hindsight, I should have mixed it a little better. But you know, whatever. I'm very picky, you know, like most producers are. And then I'm there. Hope that's helpful. In addition, if you have any comments or questions, please let me know. All the plugins that I did use in this video, every single one, not only are they free, but I have a link listed below in the description so you can check out every single one.